Hey, hope you all are doing good. All right, let's see who's out there. And it always takes a second for Instagram to let everyone know that we are going live. There she is. Okay, hopefully no tech issues. It's just waiting to connect.
Hi,
Hey,
love.
there you are. Oh, you look so pretty today.
Oh, you do too. You're shining.
Thanks. How are
How
you?
are I'm great. It is Tuesday and I feel like I am feeling good for the week. Like it's gonna be a great week. I got
Yes.
lots of rest this weekend, and feeling really, really excited for this. How about you? How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. It's definitely winter here, so I'm just like freezing all the time, but
Oh my gosh.
um,
Can I tell you a quick story
yeah,
about
yeah.
freezing? So, yes, or 2 nights ago, I was feeling the temperature. I was feeling my boyfriend's face, and I was like, "Why are you so hot?" I was like, "Do you have a fever?" We just flew, so I was really scared he had a fever, and
Yeah.
so I went to get the thermometer, and he had like a normal 98 degrees Fahrenheit
Mhm.
temperature. And then I was like, okay, so let me just check mine just in case. And I was at 95 degrees.
Oh my
And
gosh.
95 degrees is already considered to be like really low,
Yeah.
hypothermia low. And so anything below 95 is hypothermia. So it was really my body that was off, and not someone else's. And so self-regulation is so important, y'all. Stay
Yeah.
warm. And so
Yep.
I've been also like turning on the heater over here, even though it's in the Bay Area. Where are you located now, Monique?
I know, right?
So
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 I'm
we
in
can let
Durham.
people know.
Yes, I'm in Durham. So I'm about 3 hours north of London in the UK. So it's where Harry Potter was filmed for all of you HP fans out there. But I know,
Ooh.
right? We're in the countryside right now, but it's definitely freezing. We invested in a heated blanket, so it's like game changer.
Yes. Yeah, in order for us to like function, we need to be warm. I was
Yes.
sitting at my desk yesterday for 2 hours just sitting in the cold thinking like when I warm up, I will start working.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so true. Well, anyways, thank you so much for joining me on this today and for everybody tuning in. So, yeah, I'm live here in the UK, and I'm live here with Kat from sunny California. Still super jealous. But, anyways, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and just joining me for another one of these boss interviews. So, I always wanted to be able to bring as much value to all of you young professionals and entrepreneurs out there, as I know like we live in uncertain times. So, it's all about community, it's all about connection, and I'm just so excited about today's guest. So, a little bit about Kat. She's one of my amazing mastermind sisters. As a
Yeah.
coach for over 7 years and trained through the coactive coaching model, Love Coach Kat thoroughly believes in the power of coaching to transform lives. In 2019, she launched her full-time coaching practice, The Coaching Method. With over 200 clients and over 3,000 hours of coaching under her belt, Kat is on a mission to empower people to fall in love with themselves over and over again as a love coach, Reiki healer, and serial social impact entrepreneur. At the Coaching Method, she empowers individuals to love themselves deeply and live limitlessly in love, life, and impacts. When she's not focused on building the world's most loving empire, you can find her playing with her partner's cat, reading, hiking in nature, doing yoga and breath work, or preparing for her next adventure. So with that being said, thank you so much for being here on this Q&A
Oh
today.
my gosh, Monique, that was such a long intro. I didn't know you were gonna read it all.
Yes.
And actually, Monique, for my audience, do you mind sharing a little bit about yourself as well? Because I'll be posting this, of course, to my page,
Yeah.
so people can get to know you too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a business consultant for 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs. And like I always like to say is that what is going to get you, to that next big milestone, right? You have to think about where you got or how you got to where you are now. And how you got to where you are now isn't going to get you to that next level. So if you're thinking about breaking to your first 6 figures, breaking to your first 7 figures, what got you to your first six isn't going to get you to seven, right? So it's all about, building through that. And so I work, with clients all around the world, and I'm also an executive partner at my boyfriend's startup. So we're having fun doing some e-commerce stuff. I'm really busy with Black Friday right now, but yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Amazing, y'all. We all need to get on Monique's level, all right, of that 7 to 8 figure, right? And so if you need help scaling your business, she's also the person to go to.
Thank you. Hey, Kayla, thanks so much for tuning in. Okay, so as we dive in, first, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got started?
Yes, really quickly. So I always like to talk about my homeland. Born in the Philippines,
Yes.
moved to the US without my parents, and grew up with my aunts and extended family. Then my dad came over. And I think
Mhm.
growing up for me, I was always seeking that love that I was felt like I was missing from my parents. And I sought that, in my teachers. I was like a teacher's pet. I sought that in my friends. I sought that in romantic relationships. And I think throughout my life, like romantic relationships have always been like the what I felt like was the replacement, right, for my parents'
Mhm.
love. And so, I was a long-term serial monogamous
Mhm.
relationshiper, right? So I would stay in relationships for very long periods of time. And hoping like that would fulfill me. But after, a certain period of time, I'd be unhappy or something would still be missing, and that relationship wouldn't work out. And I think it wasn't until I was 25, or 25, 26 is when I really started my self-love journey of like understanding what I needed and how my own love could fulfill, right? Like those gaps that I felt like was missing.
Yeah.
And I started, coaching right after college. I joined an organization called Beyond 12, and they are a nonprofit organization here in the US, and their mission is to increase the amount of first generation college students to graduate from the nation's
Wow.
universities and colleges. And so I am a first generation college student, and their mission spoke to me. I became one of their coaches, and I stayed with that company for 5.5, 6 years.
Wow.
And I was, a coach there. I was a manager for coaches. I did accounts and business development there.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it's like a long journey with them.
Yeah.
And I learned so much. And I think a lot of like my coaching style comes from, of course, that the training with them and the experience I got to um, do in terms of coaching these students and coaching and managing the coaches there. And then from there I decided like it was time for me to launch my own business. And I felt like coaching is my calling. And there's, as you know, there's a lot of different niches that you can go
Mhm.
into in coaching, one of which is, like health coaching,
Mhm.
business coaching. But the main theme of my life and like what I've always sought after was love. And so like why not love coaching? And
Yes.
I think automatically people think like romantic love.
Mhm.
That's the type of coaching, like she'll find you your special someone. And let me tell you, I will. Your special someone is
Yes.
you.
Mhm. I love that.
Right? And so my whole goal is to help people find themselves in this world in which we're like so focused on outside forces and not the internal forces. So
Yeah.
that's a little tidbit. That was tidbit
Amazing.
of
Thank
my
you so much for
journey.
sharing that.
Yes.
What would you say is your favorite thing about the work that you do as a love coach?
Definitely my client transformations, like no doubt, no doubt. I think, every time I get on a call and as a consultant, you probably feel this too. Sometimes you can feel like low energy coming into a consulting call or a coaching call or
Mhm.
that business call that you're about to go on. But then when you start interacting and start really serving, it
Yeah.
really raises your vibration and your
Yeah.
energy. And for me to be able to see the long term change that I've seen in my clients is phenomenal. And I work with clients, right, for a long period of time, for at least 6 months. And
Mhm.
there's a reason for that. I believe that change can happen, right? Every second you have the ability to change.
Mhm.
But long-term change is needs to be sustainable,
Yeah.
right? You need to have the structure, you need to have the support system to be able to, stick with the habits that you're starting to create. Because a lot of the people that are coming into this journey of self-love are on this journey for 25, 30 years, and they've never even thought about themselves, and what it means to love themselves, right? And so it's a lot of years of unlearning and a lot of years of us relearning, right? And understanding like how can I best approach the relationship with myself.
Mhm. That's amazing. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing. Shout out to Elaine. She just came here.
Hi,
I know we
Elaine.
just gave you a shout out earlier. Like that's how we met through your mastermind.
Yes.
Amazing. Can you talk a little bit about this topic of investing in yourself and what that truly means?
Yeah. I think when we say investing in yourself, the first thing you think about is money, right?
Money. Yep.
Like put your money where your values are is what I always like to say. And I mean that about like even okay, so we just bought a car this year, me and my partner. And there's so many options for cars these days. And it's so easy for me to just be like, okay, I'm gonna get the cheapest car or whatever it may be. And that car company may not have like the same values I have in life. And so for us, we were willing to pay more, right? So that we can be aligned with our values. So we ended up buying like a Subaru. And we believe in the Subaru brand because of like how they like just how they show up in the world and like what they represent and like where they put their investment in the community, right? And so same thing with like our money and your money, right? Like where are you putting your money in terms of like the life that you want to live? And for some people, you know, fashion is important, right? They'll buy like the next newest Jeezys. For some people, what's important is like memories, and so what they'll do is they'll buy and put money into adventures. For some people who are personal development junkies, maybe like the two of us,
Totally.
we like to put our money into like books, into conferences, into programs that's going to help us grow. And so really investing in yourself is not a one track way of doing anything, right? It's all about like what truly makes you happy. Where does your joy come from? My partner, he does these Warhammer figures. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, Monique,
No.
but literally they're these tiny figures, and you like put them together. So you have to piece them together. Then you gotta paint them, and then you go into like this game with other people, and
Oh,
they're in war with
interesting.
other. It's like crazy. But like he spent over like hundreds of dollars, right, on this. To me, what I would never spend money on. Like he's asked me to join
Yeah.
him, and like, oh, can you create your own Warhammer? I was like, not for me. But like that makes him so happy. And
Yeah.
like for me, it's all about what are the things that bring you joy? Go and put your money where that is. And
Yeah.
if there's things that are missing in your life, whether that's like missing confidence, right? Missing like the mindset to go after your dreams, then it's time for you to truly invest in a program, in something, or a book, something that's going to help you get to the next step, right? It doesn't have to be get to that final destination, but will help you take that first next step. And Monique, I got to ask you, what's your perspective on investment as well, and investment in yourself?
Oh yeah, no, totally. I love how you're spinning it back on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my background is in wealth management and financial planning. So before this, I had my own practice, and I didn't manage everyone's money, and we did put them into other investments, right? And I always looked at money and investing in yourself as like a money related thing. And not gonna lie, like my mind works like a mental accounting system. So it's like I want to make sure that I'm getting like exactly the value that I wanted for this money that I'm putting in, right? And so yeah, and so but when I look at it, I like
Hi,
it.
Dwight. Sorry.
Yeah.
He was like, hi, Jen.
Yeah, so I totally look at it from a sense of, um, you also have to put your money where your mouth is. And like you said, you have to put it where your values align as well. And you kind of have to put in the work that goes behind it too. So I like things that are results driven, where, it's up to me, right? Because you see a lot of things online where it's like a get rich quick thing, or, this will be the answer to all your problems, right? And that's not how things work, right? It's not sustainable. So it's exactly like what you said. So I personally like the things where, it takes you through like a journey, and there's like a process and a transformation, but there's accountability that's involved. So you have to actually, put work on the other side too.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. Accountability is keys to success, y'all. If you don't got a group of people really following through with you in terms of like following up with the steps that you set up for yourself, then it's a bit harder, right? And
Mhm.
for me, accountability has been so transformational in terms of like getting me to the next level, whether that's in like my personal life and also my business life. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Okay, so my next question is, what would you say are your top 3 tips to thrive and fall in love with yourself over and over again?
Yes,
You
I
gotta
love
narrow
that you
down
said
just
over
the
and
three.
over your
Yes.
again. Yeah. That's like my biggest thing. Like it never happens just once,
Mhm.
y'all. You gotta
Yes.
fall in love over and over again, because there's just different versions of you all
Mhm.
throughout your life. And give yourself the permission to change. And one of the first tips that I would say is just be completely honest. Where are
Mhm.
you right now in your life? Like, what are you truly happy about? what are the things that are irking you, right? What are
Yeah.
the things that you are unhappy about? And what are the things that you want more of? What do you desire more of in your life, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of us have been told to not want more, right? Not desire more. And I think there's such a beauty in desiring, because when we desire, we can imagine, right? And
Yeah. Like,
imagination is just like, it colors our lives, and it creates a life that you could never imagine ever before. And
mhm,
so like my very first tip is always like, be honest with yourself, right?
mhm,
If you are unhappy, say that. Be real about that. Like, I'm unhappy with my relationship right now. And when you start getting honest with yourself, then what's going to happen is you're going to start being honest with other people, right? And those conversations, those interactions are going to turn into,
mhm.
right, a moment of transformation. And that's really what we're looking for when we're talking about like personal development and growth. The second thing, right, regardless of where you're at, so you may be like in the lowest of low, like in the dark pit of a hole right now, regardless of where you're at, regardless of like maybe not being extremely proud of yourself, embrace yourself fully, right? And opposite end as well. Maybe you are on top of the world right now. You are shining like Beyonce, you know, like you are doing a great, like you're amazing. Embrace all of you right now, right?
Mhm.
Because I think there's always two sides of the coin, right? There's the side of us that's gonna be like maybe shameful, right, of where we're at in the bottom. And also, when we've maybe reached a level that we've never reached before, there's still doubt that comes at that top level, because there's insecurity of like, what's going to happen next,
Mhm.
right? And so I always say, embrace yourself, give yourself the permission to fully embrace where you're at, and being okay with that.
Mhm.
And the last bit to that, which is something that could be really, really helpful for you who are listening, is Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian prayer of forgiveness. And it brings us back to this balance, right? And Ho'oponopono starts with, I'm sorry. Please
Mhm.
forgive me. Thank you. I love you. It's literally, you know, those four statements, and said multiple times over and over again. And what I find to be so powerful about Ho'oponopono is, please forgive me, or I'm sorry. When you start with I'm sorry,
Yep.
it gets us to this space of like acknowledging, right?
Mhm.
Acknowledging that we are not perfect, right? Monique, probably you and me, we probably made a lot of mistakes in this past week,
Oh yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And even when like I'm gonna talk about me, right? In this pandemic,
Mhm.
I love myself, right? And I've given myself the permission to like do what I need to do. And for me, it's like when I was in Georgia, I ate a lot of Filipino food, right?
Mhm.
And I gave myself the permission to do that, and because like I'm
Yeah.
not going to be able to do that. And um I gained a lot of weight while I was in Georgia, but I was like, who cares? It's making me happy to just be in community with my family. But
Yeah.
like, it's, yes, I say who cares, but then when I look in the mirror and something's not fitting right, maybe I'm saying, oh man, I need to lose that. Or like,
Mhm.
I feel fat, right? Like, those words are still coming up. That's the inner critic, right? That has
Yep.
lived right, like right there behind the closet, always like ready to open up when we start feeling a little bit of insecurity.
Mhm.
And for me, right, like, I'm sorry, right? I'm sorry for calling myself like overweight or fat, or like for criticizing myself for gaining weight. Like, that's where the I'm sorry part is.
Mhm.
Please forgive me. Please forgive me, because I know I'm better. Please forgive
Yeah.
me because I know I'm better than this, and I know that I can change in terms of the way I look at myself.
Mhm.
Thank you, right? Thank you to myself for being able to acknowledge, right, that I was not looking at myself with full love. And I love you, right? Ultimately, it comes back to the part of I love you, right? I love you, and I love the way that you show up for yourself every day, right? Despite like the slight changes in weight or whatever it may be. And so those are my top three tips. They were long, but they were
No,
my
you're
top
just like
three
bringing the
tips.
fire. Like that was amazing. So I hope everyone that's like tuning in or jumping in or catching the replay that you're taking notes on this, because this is so good. And no, I appreciate that you shared that, because it is like a perspective shift, and you do have to pay attention to the words that you say and the language that you're putting out there. I always like to think that your brain is constantly eavesdropping on your self-talk. So watch your words. Yep.
Yes.
Um, so I know feel right now during uncertain times, like more and more of us are looking to pivot, and they're looking to, to start showing up more online. What's your advice for showing up authentically online?
Ooh,
So for
I
a lot
just,
of them, it's like their
for me,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
I struggled with this initially when I first was starting business because I like combined like my personal Instagram with my business Instagram.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I live by is like, I'm going to show up however I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
And so I did a live last week, right after the day after election.
Hmm.
And it was a completely different environment and I was in a completely different mood. I was literally in bed in a hotel, like basically in my sweats,
Yeah.
right? Very like no makeup. And I was just telling people, yo, this has been a roller coaster ride of 2020 and I'm ready to throw up. Right. And like this wasn't the energy that you're seeing now is different from the energy that
Yeah.
was in that live, right? Because I was in a different state and
Mhm.
I always, like I said, going back to being honest with yourself, right? This is the same thing. Like if I'm honest with myself about where I'm at energetically today,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be okay displaying that to the world. And I think like people respond to that, right? Like don't put a front about what you're feeling because everybody, there's gonna be someone in the audience that is gonna relate, right, to your current emotion because your
Definitely.
emotion is probably tied to the rest of the world and what's happening in the current
Mhm.
environment. And so that's like my number one tip in terms of like being authentic. Just show up as you, y'all. Don't
Yeah.
change. And Monique, I gotta ask you too, like, what do you do to keep up like your authenticity online and showing up as you are?
Yeah, so it's consistency, like, and I enjoy doing what I do. So I feel like a lot of it is just like, just this is like part of my routine, and this is just like what I do. And so, like, after doing it enough times, it becomes habit, it becomes a part of you, and
Hmm.
I enjoy what I do, right? So I really love getting on these lives and doing these Q&As because I've been, I've been really blessed and been able to feature like some pretty amazing people like yourself, so it's like pretty awesome to just hear like your experiences, and also the wisdom and value that you have to share too. So yeah, so for me, it's definitely going back to consistency. And then in the beginning, like I would definitely agree. Like there were days where I just didn't want to do it, or I would find an excuse not to do it. But then I would, like you said, I would just come, come as you are, and I would just be real about it. It's like I'm super tired today, and I kind of like just be real and vulnerable with people too, because at the end of the day, you're showing up and you're doing what's in service to others. So that leads me into my next question. What about the worry of what people will think?
Ooh.
What's your advice on that?
Oh, that's so good. I always I always like to say, when you're starting to think about like what will they think, really ask yourself, are they the ones living your life?
Mm,
And so I went on what I called like a adventure around the world, and part of the adventure around the world was really like exploring my sexuality, right?
mhm.
And I'm in like the process of writing this book, right? That really documents the journey.
Yeah.
And I remember I was talking to my older sister.
Oh, I lost you. Oh, you are.
Am I
Okay.
back? Sorry, that
Yes,
was a
yes,
low
you're
power
back.
mode.
No worries.
Okay, so that was low
You're
power
good. You're
mode.
good.
4 more minutes. Don't worry, iPhone, you can last.
We
And
got this.
so, um, my sister was like, I was telling my sister, like, I don't know if I'm able to like actually release this book because it does talk about like sexuality and all of that. And I don't know what my uncles and my aunts are gonna think and my dad, like, and my sister's like, well, are they the ones paying your bills or are you? Like really straightforward. So it's like, you're right, right? Like, so this is like the same theme, right? Like when we are like living in our truth, who really is going to be living our lives? It's not going to be our parents.
Yes.
It's not going to be our siblings, our aunts, our uncles, our friends. That stranger that you met like 4 years ago that's somehow your Instagram friend, right? It's not going to be those people that are currently like living our life, right? It's us. And so,
Yeah.
like, I think, like, when we start to cave into the needs and, like, the desires of other people more than the desires of ourselves, what we end up doing is
Mhm.
creating a life that is not, is not in proportion or, like, is equal to the values that we really want. And a life that we wake up to and really questioning, like, what did I just build?
Yeah,
Like,
that's cool.
am I happy? You know, and when we start questioning that, y'all, that's a problem.
Yeah, no, that is gold because like it just brings me
Yeah.
back to, like when I was in finance, right? Like I had everything that society said I needed to be successful, had the houses, had the cars, all of it. And then you wake up that day, where you're just like, what is all this for? No, that's so true.
Hmm.
That was good. Okay,
Yes.
so last question. I always love to end these Q&As with action steps. What is the
Okay.
one action step you would recommend for young professionals or small business owners as it relates today on investing in themselves?
Okay. The one thing is, it would be that, we talk about like money is an investment in self, like
Mhm.
using money is a form of investing in self. But I think what's more important than money is your time. And so
Love
like
that.
for me, right, investing in yourself means understanding your time, and what you're putting into your time, like what you're using with your time, and then adjusting as necessary, right? And so like if you are spent I love Netflix, y'all. I am like a Netflix addict. I need to be on like you know how there's Alcoholic Anonymous. I need to be on Netflix Anonymous because like it's such a thing that like drains my
Yes.
time. And this past week I literally have put a pause in like watching as
Mhm.
much as I have been in the past month, because I know that like the time that I get on Netflix is great. Like it's good for like downtime, but
Yeah.
also y'all, like it's time I could be putting elsewhere, whether that's like spending quality time with my friends and my family over FaceTime or whatever, meditating, going to exercise, like sitting in silence because we need silence in this world that's
Yes.
really
Yes.
loud, right? Like your time is like the one thing you can't make more of, right?
Mhm.
So with our money we can make more money, right?
Yeah.
Monique knows that. She be making
Mhm.
helping people make money all the time. You can make money. What you can't make is time, right? And so like invest your time wisely, y'all, and that investment in your time is an investment in yourself, as long as it's in alignment with your values.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, you just have so
Yes.
many mic drop moments. That was so good. No, that's amazing because it's like, yeah, I always say, like money is replenishable, but your time isn't. So
Yes. Yes.
8,760, that's how many hours you have in a year. And so, like, I know that to a T because it's like, again, like mental accounting system. But
Yes, and
um,
there's a song on that, right?
is there?
8,760 minutes, something like that. There's a
No
song. I don't know.
way. No, I have
We
to,
have
I
to
have to
look it
check it
up.
out. Well, thank you so much for being on here today. I know we're like right at the top of the hour, but it's just been so amazing to just learn more about you and your story and just get some, more of your wisdom and advice. So for
Yeah.
people wanting to learn more about you or how to work with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so if you are looking to fall in love with yourself some more, you're welcome to follow me on Love Coach Cat. DM me love, LOVE, and let's start talking. And I would love Monique to come on my Instagram as well, because I want to learn more about you and ask you the questions, because there's some wisdom that we didn't even get in this 30-minute Instagram
I know,
live.
right?
And
No,
so I'll be having Monique on for the people who are watching, on my end, to come and teach us about money and teach us
yeah.
about business and getting to that, the figures that she was mentioning earlier. Okay, y'all? And
Yes, girl.
so
No,
thank you for having me, Monique. You are amazing. And thank you for the work that you do. I always like to say, like, it's always a pleasure to like be in a space with other women.
mhm.
And it's like another added bonus to be a person of a color, right? And
Yeah.
an added bonus to be also like a Filipina. And so
I'm actually Cambodian.
oh, you're
Yeah.
Cambodian? For some reason, I thought you were from. Sorry, my bad, y'all. She's Cambodian.
No,
I love
no
my
worries.
Cambodian brothers and sisters. Yes, and she's Cambodian too, so she's Southeast Asian. And so
Yes.
it's like such a bonus and a pleasure to like be here in the space with you. And thank you so much, Monique. You're amazing.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I just love your energy, and this has been amazing. So we'll definitely have to catch up more too. But
Yes.
excellent. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, or if you're catching the replay. As always, let me know your thoughts and feedback, or if you'd like me to have Kat on again sometime. But this has been awesome, and I hope to see you guys again soon. All right, have a
Yay.
good
Bye,
day. Bye, Kat. See ya.
everyone.